What do you do when things don't go to plan? That's really what I want to explore in this video, because I think that's something which happens in our society, which is very, very damaging. And if we understand it, then we can actually shift our whole orientation and life becomes a little bit easier. So this video is not for you if you are a type A driven, I will push through any obstacle to get to where I want to go sort of person. Nothing wrong with that. What I've noticed with people I work with, though, is that that will work for a period of time. And then there will be something in life which will come counter to that and will turn out to be one of these challenges that we just can't overcome, at least for a period of time. If we're in that type A driven mode, which we can all drop into at times, kind of obsessively trying to get that result, then we can start to move into this space of self-judgment, self-criticism, a whole ball of stress which is added on in addition to that actual stress of the situation itself. So this is a very powerful narrative, this type A narrative. This is a very powerful narrative in our society, that this is what we should be like. We should overcome every obstacle. We should just push through. I was beaten down and now I got up, back up again, and I fought. But like I say, sometimes there are situations we can't deal with, which we can't actually overcome in that way. So what can we do? Well, that is actually the answer. No matter what the situation is, if we recognize that we're in one of these very difficult places, then we can actually be a little bit kinder to ourselves, perhaps find some resources and some supports which are going to actually help us to manage with the difficulty of this current situation, with this particular moment. Even just the acceptance that things are really challenging right now. There can be this sense of, oh, what a relief. There's nothing wrong with me for having a challenge. There's nothing wrong. I haven't done anything wrong which has put me into this situation. I had a very clear example of this for myself recently. I had a huge amount of back pain about 2 weeks ago. Really, it was kind of familiar. I'm tall, so it's been a feature of my life every so often. Kind of familiar, but kind of not. Lots of other things going alongside it, beyond what I had ever experienced in terms of pain. And I started to criticize myself for not being strong enough, for not being able to manage it. I then found out, a week and a half into this thing, as it was starting to subside, that it was a kidney stone, which is known to be one of these more painful experiences. And at that point, the recognition that actually it's normal to feel challenged in that situation, that actually not being able to find something that would work, that's normal in that situation. There's nothing I can do about it. I did all the right things. I was doing them, the drinking the water, etc., etc. But that recognition that that was just a difficult situation and I was doing my best, a kind of relief came with that. Towards the end of that experience, I had what I would describe as a received image that kept coming, which was as if I was a piece of steel on an anvil being beaten by a blacksmith. And a received image is one which we're not trying to create. It's just one that arrives in our awareness. And every so often this happens for me, and they're always useful. And I think this is an orientation which is quite helpful in the midst of difficulty, because what it suggests to me is sometimes things are out of our control. And it feels like there's a force bigger than us, like this pain, like any of the many challenges that there are in life, which we can't affect at this particular point in time. And so the thing about it is that that challenge is a bit like a blacksmith forging us, because if we open towards acceptance of the situation and seeing what we can learn from it, If we can do that, then the situation, difficult as it may be, becomes transformative. In the case of this kidney stone, it taught me a huge amount about being with myself in difficulty. And of course, that's the main thing that we do when we self-criticize or judge. We kind of leave ourselves. We don't stay with the discomfort. So getting back to the type A personality, that is a strategy. We do need to push through sometimes. And there are also these times when we can't. And in those times, rather than beating up on ourselves, giving ourselves a hard time, if we can show a bit of kindness, if we can accept what the situation is and that it's not our fault that this has worked out in the way that it has, then that allows something to shift. And we can understand something about ourselves in a way that enlarges us and helps prepare us for being more equipped to deal with difficulty in the future.